grew up with all the things that I needed and wanted. So when I moved to Atlanta, I had that hustle about me, just work instilled in me. And I moved to the city of Atlanta. I'm living in Buckhead. I'm around all this fast stuff as a kid, and I'm working a job. I'm ambitious. I actually moved here to go to school. I went to school for like my first year, and then I moved to Buckhead, and I put it off for a year. I'm like, I'm gonna go back next quarter. The next quarter never came, and I was actually living in a high rise right down the street, on Peachtree, and
how old?
Like 19.
Was Buckhead what it is now?
It was more. It was better back then because it was more exclusive. Now it's just everybody in Buckhead.
How were you living there at 19?
Because I had a roommate,
okay.
and me and a guy from South Carolina, we ended up getting a 2-bedroom apartment. And back then, prices of apartments wasn't what it is today. So back then, it might have been 2-bedroom, and high rise was like $1,400.
Okay.
So $700 wasn't much to come by.
Right.
And I was doing, working a job, and I started doing like promotional work for a record label, and so I was just doing this and that to get by. And I actually met a guy that moved into my building because there wasn't many black people in my building. We probably were the only. It was like 3 or 4 of us in the whole building, and we started bumping into each other in the elevator, and one thing led to another. We started hanging out, and he's really trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out what he's into, because how he living here, we trying to figure each other out. So we just mostly started just hanging out.
Okay.
Going to the mall, clubs, that type of thing. And I remember like it was yesterday. We was at the Gold Room.
No boy.
Back then, which was a strip club back then.
Okay.
The Gold Club.
The Gold Club.
Okay.
It wasn't the Gold Room. It's the Gold Room now, but it was the Gold Club back then.
Got it. Okay.
And one day I just asked him, I said, "Man, what you into?" And he pretty much told me that what he was into. I'm like, man, I can do that. I need to be a part of that. And I'm figuring at the time, I'm not really physically doing nothing that I can get in trouble for. So I'm gonna be good.
So you thought.
So I thought. And pretty much what he was involved in was he had a check cashing ring, and he would recruit girls to go into to banks and cash checks off major corporations. And pretty much, it's funny because we would actually meet a girl that was a teller in a bank out, and we were like, yo, we just need copies of payroll checks that come through that bank, and we'll give you $2,000. Most female gonna do that. Like you mean tell me I just need to give you 8 copies, like Xerox copies of a check, and you give me 2,000? So yeah, so she'd give us the Xerox copies of the checks. We actually had a person that could make that check duplicate on check paper and raise up the check number.
Okay.
And these corporations got hundreds of thousands of dollars in their bank account. So we were actually recruit another female that might be out and about, a stripper or anything that fits their profile, and we had a person that works at a DMV that will make this person a driver's license.
Wow.
Georgia driver's license, real Georgia driver's license, that they can go into a bank with a driver's license, because you only need 2 forms ID. A driver's license in whatever other form you made up. And they go in the bank and cash a check for $1,500 or less because you didn't want to be over the limit where they have to call the head teller to come and check it out. And we would just do this all day, ride around, and actually at that time it was funny because I knew where every Bank of America was in Atlanta, every SunTrust, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo was Wachovia back then. And all day long, that's all I would do. He might be with another girl in North Cross. I might be with a girl downtown. This other person might be with a girl in Gwinnett, and we just switch banks. But it had to be with a girl that fits the description where she within the bank could fit cashing a check for $1,500. You can't just walk in there and cash a $1,500 check and look balmy. So you had to have address. You can't go to the same bank twice because they're gonna recognize you. Like, you were Teresa last week. How are you Keisha this week? So it was just a system.
So there was a whole system. Wow.
Right.
Well, we're gonna hear more of this, but first we're gonna get into love notes.
Okay.
All right, so this week's love note comes from Charles. Charles says, I faced a major setback a few years ago when I went through a divorce and lost everything. It was my fault, as I had a gambling problem that caused us to lose everything. My wife, our home, my savings, my job, my livelihood. I literally hit rock bottom and was homeless 6 months, living with family members and sometimes on the streets when there was nowhere to stay. My wife would not allow me to see the kids. I fell behind on child support, but I have finally been able to get back on my feet. I built my own trucking business, and things are really looking up. I'm now back in my kids' lives, and I'm able to provide for them the way I would like to. My concern is how I answer questions about why me and their mom split. Do I tell them I was homeless? How do I maintain their respect for me when I know that I am the reason why their mother struggled and why our family was torn apart? Charles. Either of you have any thoughts on that?
I do, because I actually went through this. I was having a conversation with my mom of how I would tell my boys about what happened. And what I told her, because her concern was people can be cruel and kids can be cruel. And I said, I'm raising my boys to be resilient, to be honest, to be authentic, to take responsibility. So I say, I will tell them age appropriate, not all the gory details until they get older. But I have to be honest, because I'm walking in what I tell them. If you fall, get back up. If you're fearful, walk in faith. So I would say for him, be honest and age appropriate, because what happens with kids, they know the truth. They innately come here and know it, and when you're telling them something that's not true, they know it, and you lose credibility.
Right.
But for him to be able to say, this is what I went through, this is what happened, but this is where I am now, and let's work and let's rebuild, that's gonna positively affect their relationship, even if I don't know the situation with the mother, even if the mother is saying, negative stuff about him, that's kind of how he counteracts, and he lets them ask them questions, and he's honest with them when he answers them.
Well, and I've noticed twice that you said age appropriate.
Yeah, age appropriate.
That's key.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if they're 8, you're going to tell them different than you would if they were, 18 or 16 or something of that nature.
Right, and because you want it to be relatable in a way that they can take something from it, and they're going to take something different at age 8 than they would take at 18.
Right. So if it's age 8, maybe driving to a homeless shelter and letting them being able to experience it and say, this is where Daddy was, it was a really bad point in my life, and if I'm here, could I take care of you? Could I take care of, your mom? No, Daddy, I could, but I'm glad you're no longer here,
Right, right. That's good, that's good. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I don't have kids, so, but like, I can agree with her. As a kid, you remember everything. I mean, it's stuff I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, clearly. And if I tell my parents now, they be like, wow, you remember that. Like,
my son brings stuff to me when he was 2. I was like,
Two?
why did that happen? Are you sure?
I mean, it's amazing how kids can remember and never forget.
Yeah.
Never forget. I mean, it's stuff like I say when I'm 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, stuff that happened, and maybe 10, 15 years later, I talk about it. My mom and dad are like, remember that happened? Or like amazed. But yeah, I guess that's why, you see like the Force 48, and they interview a kid, and he's telling them all the little details that you would never think they would know.
Right.
And they know when you're not being honest.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think it's very important to be honest with your kids, and because they chances are always out that they're going to find out anyway, and if they can't learn the truth from you and they can't learn the lessons learned that you learned, they're going to have a lot less respect for you. Again, credibility, like you said, is on the line, and what's most important is that is where your journey is taking you, and what has happened since and what you've learned. So much more important than whatever the ugly situation is that you don't want to talk about, because it's really about where you go from there, and that is and that can be the focus of the conversation. Look at where we are now as a family, or however your family is right now. You might still be separated from the wife or divorced, or but you still are leaps and bounds ahead of where you were even when you were married and you had the household together. Because when you were married, there was a gambling problem, and now you own your own business, and you're taking care of business.
And I think it's a teaching lesson too, because you can say, hey, I want you to always be honest with me, regardless of what it is, regardless what happens. So I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you. And this is a safe space to always be honest.
That's
no
so
judging, no criticizing.
Yeah, that's so good. So you're modeling behavior that you would like to see, because these kids are going to be teenagers one day. You want to know. You want them to be honest with you. You might not want to know all that they're doing, but you do want them to be able to come to you when needed. So, all right. Well, we're going to go to break, and we come back. We're going to talk a little bit more on the live exchange.
That is so good. It was so funny though when you were talking how
I'll
similar.
come straight back.
Question. The live feed isn't working.
Straight back.
Live feed isn't working.
Oh, you gotta refresh it. I had to do
I
another.
did.
I had to stop it.
A bunch of times.
You can relate to certain stuff.
All right, welcome back. Good morning and welcome back to the live exchange. We are at the top of the hour. Can you believe an hour's already passed?
We don't.
Yeah, yeah. We only got to like the first. We haven't even gotten to the conviction phase of these stories yet. I mean, but yeah. So we are talking about life after incarceration. There's a lot of stereotypes about who goes to prison and who doesn't, and even some of the things I want to talk about is people say federal prison is a cushy place to go. It's not as bad as county jail, and so we definitely need to talk about that, and we'll find out whether or not your experience was cushy while there. And so we have here we have T Renee Smith. She's an author, life coach. I was going to say entrepreneur as well, speaker, and we have Carlo Wilkes here. He's an entrepreneur, and he owns a luxury car dealership as well as a club, a sports bar,
And a club.
Sports bar and a club. I love sports bars. I love. I'm an athlete at heart always, so I just can sit and watch any sport. So we've talked about a little bit about both of their stories, and Carla was telling us a little bit about how what it was that led to the incarceration. Could you tell us like what happened when it all kind of broke down and
Well, June the 4th, 2001, pretty much prior to that, one of the girls that were involved with us got arrested, and
I'm singing.
yeah,
I'm telling everything.
telling everything. You know what I'm saying? And it was
Yeah.
funny because one of the guys that was dealing with her on a personal level and kind of did some shady stuff to her, so she really had no.
What do you want to
No
know?
loyalty
Yeah.
to him whatsoever.
yeah.
And at that particular time, I remember slowing off the situation when we was doing, kind of backing out, not doing nothing. And it was days that some of the other guys were like, man, we were riding today and it was cars following us, man. I just knew we would pull up somewhere and it was cars following. I'm like, and at that point, I'm 21 years old. I'm green. I'm like, whatever. And I remember it was June the 4th, 2001, that Monday morning, and the guys were coming to pick me up, and the girl, that Friday, one of the guys told the girl, hey, on Monday, we're going to meet at the Justin's, the BP across from Justin's. And on Monday morning, she called and told the other guy, hey, I'm at the Varsity across from the BP on North Avenue. And they detoured to go meet her before they came and got me. And the other guy said he told the guy, something ain't right. I told her we're going to meet here. Why would she even call you and tell you that? So he was like, man, whatever, we're going to meet her. And when they got to the Varsity, the feds and everything was already there. He said they remember pulling up, and the feds was jumping out of tractor trailers and locked them up. One of the guys he got caught at a red light, so he was delayed. So when he pulled into the parking lot, he saw what was going on, and he kind of like backed out and left. And he called me and told me what was going on. And at that point, I had never been locked up, so I'm nervous as ever at home. I just didn't know what to do. I just left home and just rode around all day long, just nervous. And I remember, staying away from home for a whole week, like just living with staying at different people's houses. And I remember going home that Friday to get some clothes. And I checked my voicemail, and it was the FBI. Oh. And he was like, hey, this is Sergeant Reiser with the FBI. Oh. We need you to give us a call back. And I remember driving to South DeKalb Mall. I'm thinking I'm going to a payphone. I go all the way out there and called him back. And he was like, Mr. Wilkes, we need you to come in and talk to us. And I say, okay, what you want to talk about? He's like, check this out. You got into Tuesday. It was a Friday. He said, you got into Tuesday to come see me, or we're coming to lock you up. And I remember that from that day forward, my life's changed. Yeah. I remember getting a lawyer, not knowing what to do. My family's in South Carolina, so I didn't have nobody to cope with here. And I didn't really want to tell my mom because I knew she would be destroyed. So I remember going to get a lawyer, and we went to go see this guy. And this guy was just showing me pictures of everything. Like, we stand in places.
Yeah.
And
they've been following you a while.
Oh, yeah.
No, and you know what? They're not as smart as we put them out to be. It's people tell, and they use it as if they found out. Because he was showing me camcorder. He was showing me pictures of us in Miami at the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking back, like, they were there. But no, they just took camcorder tapes out of the houses and took pictures.
So once they got
and made it look like they were there, like, we got you to make us, you know, tell. And I remember going in there and seeing them. And he said, yo, we want to get this truck that you have. And I took the truck, because I was big on my credit. I took the truck to this dealership and said, hey, man, you want to buy this truck? Because I'm like, I ain't messing up my credit. And it was a Cadillac truck, and 2000 Cadillac truck I sold. Just had came out, and I sold it to the dealership. And 2 weeks later, I said, man, I need a job. So I called that dealership back, said, hey, man, can I get a job working here, you know, selling cars? And that's kind of how I got into the car business. Going there just to get a job, just to make it look like I had a job while I was going through the like you say, 2 years dealing with court, going to court. And once they found that I sold the car to that dealership, they came and locked me up for selling. You know, came and then they pressed. The charges were coming anyway, but they came and locked me up on a Friday. I remember it was July the 7th, and I was on my way to my family reunion.
I'm gonna have to cut you off.
Okay.
We gotta go to break, but we're gonna come right back on Live Exchange.
Sensation Network. Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Primary election. Lack of diversity. Gas prices.
Michael Jackson. Trending topics.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. So trending also is the hearing for Dylan Roof, and he is the guy who has been convicted of killing nine people in a church in South Carolina, and you know, it's a very odd, eerie type of hearing. He's representing himself, but he does still have a defense team, and that's something that I didn't. I'm learning a lot about how this works, but so I guess he's the lawyer, or he's acting as such, but he still has a defense team. The interesting thing is that he is at odds with his defense team. The defense team has tried to push forth the possibility, because they've already convicted him, and now they're considering what the sentence is going to be, which death penalty is on the table, and the defense team wants him to argue that he has a mental illness, or that there's something psychological wrong with him, so that it might not be the death penalty. He is saying there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. I'm
fine.
I'm fine.
I knew what I was doing.
Right. And you know what? I can't be mad at him for that. Please tell us the truth. I'm mad at you for killing all those people.
Right.
So come clean, and but it's just. But it's sick, and that in of itself tells me something is wrong. This is not right, but his whole thing is, I don't believe in psychology. I don't believe in psychology at all. And here's the exact quote. He says, "My opening statement may seem a little out of place. You may have heard the reason I chose to represent myself, so to prevent my lawyers from misrepresentation. That's absolutely true." So he feels like his lawyers would misrepresent him in court. It isn't because I'm trying to keep a secret. I'm not going to lie to you through myself. My lawyers forced me to go through 2 mental competency hearings, not because I have an issue, but it's going to be revealed. In that respect, my self-representation has accomplished nothing. You say, what is the point? The point is, I'm not going to lie to you, other than the fact that I trusted people I shouldn't have, which we believe he's referring to the defense team. There's nothing wrong with me psychologically. Anything you heard from my lawyers in the last phase of the trial, I ask you to forget it. That's the last thing. So, yeah. Wow. I feel like this is all a waste of time. I mean, I get that there's due process, and we got to do due process. But, I mean, in a case like this, it's just so cut and dry and clear, and he's telling you he did it, and he meant to do it, and
sentence him and go on about it.
Case closed.
Right.
Save the taxpayers' money.
Yeah. So, that's just my opinion. But anyway, just to kind of get back into each of your stories. So you both kind of left off at the point of being arrested and now realizing, okay, and Renee earlier talked about how she actually, met her husband. The preacher is talking about the role of a husband and wife in church, and lo and behold, dude sitting next to her is her husband. So, but when you were convicted, and as I read in the book, you were pregnant at the time of, so the 2 years goes by, and
so what happened was this,
well,
what
we
had
know
happened.
how you got pregnant.
No,
go ahead.
Y'all know how we got pregnant. We were practicing our marriage ministry
Practicing.
is how it happened. But my husband and I got married in April.
Okay.
And so then I got sentenced in September. So right before I got sentenced, I found out that we were expecting. So wow. it just happened quickly. So I'm in the courtroom, and I just knew, again, I am married. The Lord is on my side. I'm about to get probation.
Were you big pregnant, or were you?
Oh, no. I had just found out.
Oh, okay.
So I got married first, and then we didn't have a shotgun wedding. I got married first, and then months after that, I got pregnant.
Got it.
And so I remember when my attorney, because my parents had hired me an attorney, he said, listen, this is one of the hardest sentencing judges that there is. We've negotiated a plea deal, but I need for you to prepare yourself. That's what he said. In my mind, I am God's favorite child. I have faith, and this is going to all work out in my good. And so when we went there, and this was the first time I had seen my ex in I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and so we got sentenced, and the judge hit the hammer down, and she basically was like, you're sentenced to 4 years in prison. And all I heard was, oh, my God, my baby! That was my mama.
Your mom.
That was my mom. And so the reality of it did not hit me at that time. It hit me when my husband was driving me to the facility. Because I remember on the way home from leaving court, I told my husband, I said, honey, this is not what you signed up for. I said, I know we just got married and we're expecting a child, but you thought that I was going to be home with you. So I said, if you want to change your mind, I understand. And he was like, why would I make a permanent decision for a temporary situation?
Wow. Ooh.
Right. So now, after the fact, I can understand what that means. But I think I was so emotional from the hormones and just from everything else. I had no idea what this journey was about to be.
Wow. Man.
And so I think sitting on the other side, I served 1,096 days. And so when you hear on the other side 1,096 days, a lot of times you have no idea what you're going to bear. I remember I was talking to my girlfriend, and she had 3 miscarriages. And I said, there's no way that I could live through miscarriages. She said, there's no way that I could go to prison. And when I came home, I had 2 miscarriages before my second child.
Wow.
So you never ever know what you can go through until you actually place in that situation. And one point I wanted to make is so many people are so critical and they're so judgmental. They think that if you go to prison, you're a drug addict, you're a thief. He and I both came from backgrounds and houses. Both of my parents have master's degrees. Both of them were professionals. They raised me up to go to school. I was SGA president. I was in Beta Club. I graduated college in 3 years. I was on honor roll. I was a Delta. So I should have been, in society's eyes, this executive at a corporation, etc.
Right.
But because my life got derailed, you got to not be so judgmental of people, because you never ever know what they've been through, and you never ever know, heck, what you gonna go through.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's perfect timing to go into our break. This is good stuff. We'll be right back.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you how living your life by rules that are so self-evident and obvious, you'll say, I knew that. This powerful yet short, detailed bestseller is on sale right now, under $10. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com, and let Truisms help you to the next level.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the interest of science.
All right. So the research is actually my own. So it is the multidimensional model of self-love, and it's what I've been working on pulling together. This name may change by the time the book comes out, but this is what it's called right now. But again, the multi-dimensional model of self-love, and this is really a look at, because we talk about I love myself, or do you love yourself? And I had a friend once say, I was kind of going through a breakup, and that's happened to me once or twice in life, and she was challenging me about my self-love, and she said, well, can you look in the mirror and look at yourself and appreciate who you are, without having negative feelings towards yourself? And I'm like, that's easy, So for me, that was not an issue. that was an issue for her. I had other issues. So I found that my issue with self-love comes in my relationships with men. And so my relationships with my kids, with my parents, all great. When it comes to a romantic relationship with a man, for some reason, all of these insecurities and things started to come in. So that was my trigger. Hers was self-image, and so it's so funny because a lot of us think that self-image is everything. If we can look at the mirror, we love the way we look, and that's self-love. That's only one small piece of it, and sometimes that's not even...
Because a lot of them are insecure, like the models and the celebrities.
Exactly.
They have the look, but...
Right. And so, and that kind of goes into congruence a bit as well, because congruence is, you can have the look and everything, you can exude confidence to everybody else, but you're home by yourself and you hate yourself. So the multidimensional model of self-love, it kind of breaks down self-love in a way where there's dimensions to love. It's not just a one-dimensional thing. It's not just I love myself or I don't. So I'll just my own work in post-traumatic growth is kind of where this comes from. And it's been quite clear that self-love isn't quite so black and white. So we may be the greatest ambassadors of self-love so long as we're operating in an optimal environment. So everything's great. I love myself. An environment that nurtures our growth and does not trigger trauma, fear, or feelings of incompetence. So in optimal environments, we can experience multiple dimensions of self-love. When we're in environments that don't nurture that, we struggle, and we struggle to kind of sort of climb up, from one dimension to the next. And so the first level, and I do have them at levels that progress. So the first level is the superficial level. This is where it's not real. Like the self-love isn't real, but I have to act like it's real because of what they'll think of me. So, I'm this high-profile person, and I've got to exude this confidence because that's going to be really good for my image. Survivalist. I have to love myself enough to survive. So if I'm going to get out of this abusive relationship, I need to love myself enough to get out of it. And so you reach that point where you at least have that level of love for yourself. It may not go any further than that, but it's enough to get you out of that situation. So that's survivalist self-love. The next one is romantic self-love. I love the external aspects of myself. I love my looks, my accomplishments, but I hide all the weaknesses. So I haven't really embraced everything yet, but I do kind of love my persona, and I love my public image and all of that. That's romantic love. You're just kind of in love with yourself. Agape is I know myself. I recognize the positive and negative aspects, and I love all of it. So this is agape self-love. The outside forces do not dictate my self-love. So it doesn't matter what my public image is. It doesn't matter what people are saying to me and what they think of me. I'm able to insulate myself with my own sense of self-love. So so to be able to have those different levels, or to be able to recognize those different levels, helps people to say, well, you know what? I kind of, and I put a survey out on Facebook, and most people responded that they were survivalists, that they were at that point of, I am just trying to get to next week, and they will do whatever they have to do to get to next week. And when you recognize that that's where you are, and then what comes next after that, it helps you to kind of have a gauge for, okay, here's where I need to be then, or here's where I need to aspire to. Because without a sense of that, you don't really know how you fare in terms of self-love. So where do you see you this is personal, but where do you see yourself?
I'm at agape.
All right, now.
I'm agape. I think what happens is we put so much pressure on ourselves, and when I came back home, I remember somebody told me, they said, however long you are away, it's going to take you that much time to adjust. And I didn't believe that. I was like, I'm going to come home. I'm going to, get it going, get back into it. It really took me the 3 to 4 years to readjust because I was so used to pleasing what everybody else thought, and it took me a process to be able to say, you know what, it really doesn't matter what you think of me and what you think I should be doing in this box that you have me in. This is who I am, this is what I want to do, and it's not about anything else. And I embrace my weaknesses, and so that's why my whole platform is authentic, because this is who I am. And if we're supposed to go on this journey together, then you're going to accept me for completely who I am. If you're just in my life for a season or a reason, then that will reveal itself too. But I'm not going to change who I am to be able to be in relationship with you. And that could be friendship, romantic relationship, or even with family. So I remember one thing my mom and I were talking about, and I said, Mom, if someone does not want to be in my life because I've been to prison, that's not somebody that I want in my life. And so I think you've got to get to the point where you're okay with pissing other people off so you can live your own life and stop worrying about what, and stop worrying about what other people think.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's good. And you said people come in your life for a season or a reason, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, if they're in there for a season, utilize everything that you're supposed to get out of that situation for that season, and be willing to move on when it's time. You know,
gotta be willing to let them go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's so major, and and this also can be in comparison to where you were in the past. And we have 30 seconds.
I would say agape love.
Agape.
And like I said, I'm in love with myself. I'm single, and I'm not chasing to be in a relationship unless it's the right relationship.
Right.
You know, so and like being locked up, taught me that not to kill other people think. Like I tell everybody my situation.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed. People, they like you more once you're honest.
Once you're honest.
Yeah.
Well, that is great. And so we're going to come back. I want you to think about what kind of self-love you have, where you're at in that scale. Is it superficial, survivalist, romantic, or agape? We'll be right back. All right, guys.
Hey, Teddy, why is investing important?
Most people have goals that they're trying to reach in life that has something to do with growing their assets. That's a problem that we have in our community because we don't take enough risk to actually grow our assets to meet our expectations.
So how does Parish Capital help me?
I see myself as a world-class investor. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm here to bring a transparent, low-fee strategy so people understand what they're getting into when they invest. $1 today is not worth the same as $1 tomorrow. You can go to my website at parishcapital.com or call us at 800-618-1940.
Invest your money.
Ignore the noise, stay focused, and prosperity be unto you.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Y'all need anything else?
Sensation Station Network.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange, and we are talking about life after incarceration. And we talked so much during the break. I don't even remember what the last thing we said before the break. We're talking about love, self-love. And so, I just really want you all to consider where you were and where you are. And I don't know if you noticed any differences in your self-love.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, would you like to elaborate?
I think I was in superficial and survival mode because when I was writing the book, it's so funny, I felt so sorry for the girl that was in the story. And that was me. I was like, oh my gosh, she didn't love herself. Oh, she just accepted anything. Like, I allowed somebody to disrespect me, to lie to me, to, treat me less than, and I allowed it. And I remember a profound thing that my counselor said. Yes, I went to counseling, and if you need to go, I suggest that you go.
It's helpful.
She told me, she said, we're going to spend this first session talking about, your ex and what happened, and then the rest of the time we're going to figure out why you didn't have any boundaries, why you didn't have self-love, and why you allowed yourself to be treated that way. So before I went to prison, I was definitely in that, I think, superficial or survival. My esteem, my love was based on what this man thought about me, and how he responded to me. If he was in a good mood, things were good. If he was upset, if he was mad, things were not good. And so I could not see my value outside of that relationship. And so when you lose it, so one day I have all of this stuff, and then the next day I move back into my house with my parents. So everything that made me, the car, the clothes, the money, the house, when you and you lose your identity and you have to rebuild it without the money, is nothing left. That's when you find out the true essence of who you are and who God has made you to be. So I think so many times people get caught up with this image, and they get caught up with these things that they don't spend time by themselves. And one key thing that I tell my clients is, if you don't like spending time by yourself, nobody else is going to enjoy spending time with you. So you got to unconditionally love yourself. And I'm not talking about you got to get up and put the hair and the makeup and the nails or whatever. When you're just in the raw and you just have nothing on, can you still love and accept yourself? If you didn't have the money, if you didn't have the job, would you still love and accept yourself?
And that's why I say dance naked in the living room. If you can dance naked in the living room, you love yourself a lot.
Naked.
I want y'all to try that tonight. Dance naked in the living room.
I'm going to dance. Make sure the kids in the bed, though. I don't want any surprises. Surprises.
Yeah, put the kids in the bed. But no, that's good stuff. And Carlo, do you have anything to add about the self-love piece versus versus in the past?
I think when I got out too, I was more in that survival mode. I'm still in survival mode, just because going through that situation, it makes you, it's two type of people you're going to come out to be. You're going to come out to be a survival mode person that's going to go hard at whatever your goals are.
Right, because it's not a bad thing to be in survival mode.
No, it's not. Or you're going to come out and you're going to try to be in survival mode, and it ain't going to work, and you're going to go back to doing what you did and go to jail.
Right.
It's no in-between person. I've seen that. I've met people in jail that I'm still friends with, and everybody that's in there is an entrepreneur. Most of them are entrepreneurs. And I've met a lot of people that got out and went back 2 times or more since I got out, because they got out and their pride didn't allow them to be less than what they were going into.
Right.
So they go back to the person that they used to be, because they were not going to accept themselves being the peon to the person that used to be the peon to them.
And there's some superficial
right.
elements
and
there.
And a lot of people, like you said, they want to keep up with other people or try to impress other people. That keeping up with other people and impressing other people will the fastest way of going to prison. Because as a guy, we do 100% of the stuff we do to impress a female.
Yeah.
All of it. It's nothing to do. We do none of it to impress no guy.
That's why I'm convinced that women can change this whole the way men dress, like the not all men, like the dudes who like to wear their pants. I'm seeing now they wear the pants backwards and on their knees. Like, we could change that if they like women, because we just don't give it attention and see how fast that changes.
Females try to impress other females.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Guys try to impress females. Guys don't buy cars. Guys don't buy Louis Vuitton jewelry for another guy. And buying that to impress another female, you will be in prison quick if you're doing the wrong thing.
Right.
If it's not legal, because you're not going to stop at getting it.
Right.
And it's never enough. It's never not enough for you to keep going and chasing.
Right. Well, and that's where, survival mode can be good or could be bad. It could be good if you use it the right way and you get out of whatever the situation is. It's bad if you use it for the reasons that you're talking about right now.
Because when I got out, I was just in such a survival mode of not going back to prison.
Right.
Because I was, I really had changed my life prior to going. I didn't even have to go, but I still had to go through it. So when I got out, I just tried so hard just to not go back. Till I worked every day until now. I work all day, every day. I don't have no free time.
Yeah.
And when I do, like you say, I do it, I take time for myself. I go places by myself, trips, and I'm a Carolina Panther fan, so I go to every game.
Every game, nice.
No matter where the game is, out away or home, I'm there. But that's
You're
my
living
me.
life.
That's my me time.
Yeah,
that's my vice. You know.
Well, when we come back, you know, and there's so much to talk about. I promise y'all, we're gonna talk about the actual prison experience, what happened in there, and so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special, qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you how living your life by rules that are so self-evident and obvious, you'll say, I knew that. This powerful yet short, detailed bestseller is on sale right now, under $10. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com, and let Truisms help you to the next level.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
All right, we're back. And so today's balance challenge, and I gave it earlier, it's really gratitude. It's about gratitude, and it's about being able to not just in your mind think, oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, but to be able to verbalize it. I had a conversation recently with a friend, and I'm trying to remember who the friend is because I don't remember if I'm not going to put them on blast because I can't remember who they were, but they were talking about, you know, how challenging it was to get through a particular situation they were in. And what I remember about that conversation was be grateful. Oh, I remember now. But be grateful, you know, for, you know, speak positivity. And I was telling him, speak it out loud. When you're driving in the car, verbalize it out loud, because what that does is it drowns out the negative messages that are going through your mind. It kind of drowns out that audio tape that's in your head. So when you speak it out, you're out talking it, and you're literally, you know, just drowning it out. So I say, you know, practice gratitude verbally, in expression, in the way you say things, you know, point things out, like, wow, you know, realize the reality of the situation you're in right now. I am sitting here on my own radio show, you know, fast forward 20 years later from being a radio DJ at a college, you know, in college, and here I am, you know, and so it's, you know, but to be able to speak those things, to be able to dance about those things, and I, again, my challenge is dance naked in the living room. Find a day this week. And, okay, it doesn't have to be naked, but it's just, like, even more freeing. Do it naked. Yes, and so, you know, so for those of you who are listening right now at home by yourself, go ahead and strip those clothes off and start dancing while you're listening to us. That might be a little weird, but, you know, go ahead and do it, because it's really about the practice of gratitude and knowing how to practice it in various ways, whether that's verbally, through song, through dance, but do it, because it really does change your outlook in life. So today we are talking about When the Iron Doors Slam, Finding Peace, Purpose, and Prosperity After Incarceration. And so those of you who are just joining us, I have Carlo Wilkes here with us, and I have T Renee Smith. And I keep wanting to say Dr. T Renee Smith, so I don't know if I'm speaking something here. But
speak it, girl. I receive it.
But she's an author and a life coach as well. And then Carlo has several businesses that he owns, all of which sound like a lot of fun. It sounds like he's living the life.
Hard work.
It's hard work, but I mean, and one of the things that I talk about in my book is play harder than you work. And, and that just means to have work that you're doing that reflects your own personal interests and your strengths and the things that you love. He told us during the break that he loves the Carolina Panthers and he has a sports bar and he goes to all the games and, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the flip side of the experience of incarceration. So you both have talked about what's led to the point of actual arrest and conviction. If you can each tell me how long were you convicted? You said 4 years was your sentence. And then how long was your sentence?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So what was that experience like from the moment that you walked in? What were some of the first things that go through your mind as you're walking into this new life?
What the heck?
Okay. Who wants to go first?
You mean ego?
Yeah.
You mean after that?
I mean, when you, it seems so surreal because you've never been to it in a place like that before. You have something in your mind that it's going to be this way, and it's really sometimes not that way. But I think the most hardest part for me was you're physically gone away from your family. It's not it's more mental than physical.
Okay.
Per se, because you can have people that can go do 30 years in jail, 40 years, and you're like, so it wasn't the physical part because they probably would have died doing it, but it's the mental part of being away from family, your freedom gone where you can't do what you're used to doing when you want to do it. So for me being 21 years old now, I can't pick up a phone and call when I want to. Nobody's not calling you. You can't take a shower, without. I mean, the weirdest thing is you can't take a shower without putting on flip-flops. So just imagine you do that for 2 years, 10 years, 30 years, and you come home and you almost afraid of putting your feet on bare, towel.
Right. Wait, you were 21. How old were you?
How old was I? 33?
Okay.
32?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, not being able to lay on the couch and turn the TV to the channel that you want to turn and watch what you want to watch. You have to listen to the TV through a headphone set. This stuff like that. You're in wherever facility with 400 other males that all have different personalities and all dealing with different situations than you. So that's the more mental part. You can't just go and do what you want to do. And, if you go in there and attach yourself still to the outside world, it'll drive you crazy because you're worrying about what's going on out here, what your family doing. If you got a girlfriend, what she's doing.
You can't do anything about any of that.
Nothing about it. So sometimes when you're doing what you're doing, that need to be the thought, can I deal with this if I get caught or if I go to jail? And nobody thinks about that. Because when you popping bottles in the club and you in the Louis Vuitton store, and you're not thinking about
you're not gonna get caught.
Yeah. When you wearing khaki jumpsuits and khakis and you waiting on a visit to come see you or waiting on somebody to send you money, was what you doing really worth it? That's what you have to really think about.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're gonna hear more about Renee's experience, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Teddy, why is investing important?
Most people have goals that they're trying to reach in life that has something to do with growing their assets. That's a problem that we have in our community because we don't take enough risk to actually grow our assets to meet our expectations.
So how does Parish Capital help me?
I see myself as a world-class investor. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm here to bring a transparent, low-fee strategy so people understand what they're getting into when they invest. $1 today is not worth the same as $1 tomorrow. You can go to my website at parishcapital.com or call us at 800-618-1940. Invest your money. Ignore the noise, stay focused, and prosperity be unto you.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies.
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Deliberate dumbing down.
Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and today we are talking about finding peace, purpose, and prosperity after incarceration. It's not something that we all experience, but when we meet people who do experience, different types of trials and tribulations, it's always really important for us to learn from their journeys. We all have different types of journeys that we've had. So Renee, when we were talking, we heard Carlo's take on stepping in. What was your experience? That first day that you stepped in, you were sentenced to 4 years. What happened?
So I actually ended up serving 3, actually, in the facility. And mine was totally different from Carlos because I was pregnant. So when I went to prison, I was 4 months pregnant. This was my first time being a mom. So I had just gotten married. So I had the weight of the world on my shoulder. I was like, oh, my God, is my husband going to still be here? Am I going to have a healthy baby? How am I going to raise this baby?
Yeah.
So it was just so much going on. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So once I got to the facility, a couple of months later, I actually went to a program to have the baby. And as he was saying, you're surrounded by, for me, 400 or 500 women. So you can imagine that you're in this space, and daily you're dealing with the attitudes, the ups and the downs. And so it was like hormones times 1,000 on steroids. So you're trying to deal with your own issues, and then you're trying to deal with the issues of all the other women that were there. So the hardest thing for me was, number one, I'm a new mom, I'm a new wife, and so I gave birth to my child, my son. My husband was there. He was able to be there for the delivery, and he went home. And so now I'm in this program, and I think it was like 20 other women, and we're raising kids. And
you have your kid.
So
he was with you.
He was with me for 11 months.
Oh,
It
wow.
was this program,
Okay.
and then I had to go home, and my husband raised him for 1.5 years while I went back to serve my sentence.
Okay.
So I think it was guilt and shame because this is my mother's first grandchild. She's not there to be a part of his life, what she's supposed to be helping me do. My husband's, he's supposed to, be there in the middle of the night. And so I think I was dealing with my own issues of being in prison, but also the guilt and the shame of, oh my gosh, what I've done to the family name and, all of that. So it was very difficult. And then when I had to leave my son, for a 1.5 years, it was rough. So I think when I was in prison, that's where I think my purpose was really born. I started doing small business classes, coaching. I started a Bible study. And so I poured myself into what I was doing so I wouldn't think about it. Yeah. And so then when I got home, I actually broke down. So while I was in prison, I never dealt with me being in prison. I would say I'm on a vacation, I'm on an extended Bible retreat. So now I get home, and I have these expectations of my husband as a wife, as a mother. I'm starting a new business, but first I'm making $8 an hour. I go from millions of dollars to $8 an hour, and then I have miscarriages. So it was just so much to process. Right. And I didn't process it in prison. I processed it when I got home.
Wow. Well, and that's interesting because from my understanding, both of you were doing this kind of preparation work while you were in prison for the work that you were going to do outside. So what is it that you were doing?
I mean, actually, I remember, and I have it written down, still kept. When I was still in prison, I was started to do the car. I was still doing the car business, and I remember it being in June of 2003, and God just laid a vision on my life, and I just wrote it down, what I would make when I get out of jail. The car business name, the whole 9. Wow. And I kept it, and I still look at it from time to time because everything that I wrote down happened since I've been home. Wow. Because I came home with this visions of, I'm mad at everything. I'm just going to, everybody that didn't come visit me, I'm just going to, this vengeance.
I'm going to show them.
I'm going to show them, right, because you get out, you be nervous when you get out. You have a whole, you don't know what people going to think about you. You're going to think, you think people going to look down on you, one, and then you come home and then it's like you're in a shell wondering, are they talking about me or whatnot. So when I came home, I just got hard at working. And like I said, when I got out, I started working at a dealership, and the dealership ended up closing because the feds were watching the guy that I was working for, and all of them got locked up. And I started working for another guy that I met, and he kind of, situation with some money got crossed. He crossed me on some money, and God just told me, you need to do this on your own. And I didn't really want to do it because it was too much overhead. But I stepped out in faith and did it. And now it's something that I never would have. I wish I had done it sooner, but I'm like, wow, all this happened from me going to jail. Do I wish to go back to jail? No. I would not want to relive it.
Probably not.
But, looking back, I can see it was God's vision from the start. For me to go through.
You.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and one of the things, the misconceptions, and I don't know, maybe you can clarify, maybe it's not a misconception, about federal prison in particular, is that it's a real cushy place. You got to go there and be in the maternity suite and have your child and raise your child there.
You're a prisoner. You are a number. So I remember when I was teaching in the education department, I built $1 million businesses, and the lady told me, she said, you know what, when you get out, you would make a good administrative assistant or to be a personal assistant to somebody. And the way that they look at you is that you're a number. It's not about you and who you are. You have to get up at a certain time. You have to eat at a certain time. You have to shower at a certain time. You have to go to work at a certain time. You have to. So it's not it's not cushy because again, now it's not like a county jail where you're where the toilet is there and things of that nature. But I think people don't understand that even though it's a physical prison, it's more of a mental prison. What it does with your mind. Right. Think about you working on a job, corporate job. You don't like that job and how you feel having to go in there to work, and then you're looking at the clock and you're ready to leave. Think about this is where you are for 2 to 3 or 4 years. You have no choice. Right. You can't go home.
So what is it? What is very basic question? What is the living quarters look like? What do the cell? Is it a cell? Like what is it like?
So the cell that I was in was half of this size, and it was 2 or 3 or even 4 people in there in
half
the room.
The size of this room.
Half of the size of this room with bunk beds. So basically, your space is the bunk bed and space enough for you to pretty much get out in a locker and get out and walk. And so imagine yourself with 4 women in half this space, or 3 women day in, day out. No break, day there.
Wow. Yeah, that's prison. I mean, just that alone is, gosh.
Because, people don't look at it. When you are whatever type of person you are, just imagine being in a place, because take away the place, and you've been told what to do. By somebody maybe younger than you.
So you're being controlled.
Yeah.
And by somebody maybe younger than you. No respect. Just tell you got to do this, and would talk to you any kind of way.
Yeah.
And you can't say nothing back. Just imagine going through that for 10 years. So it's like now I get out. It's hard for me. I'm not rebellious, but it's hard for me to work for somebody on my own because I can't take orders from people. And then you get out. Because some of these people go home and live life worse than you probably living in prison. And you get out. And then you see some of these same people, because I didn't bump into some of the officers in the street, and I'd be like, "Hey, I remember you," and they'd be like, and they know automatically, they'd be like, "He must know me from here." And you look, and they seeing you in a certain format, and they looking like, "Dang, he really came home." He really came home.
They should be happy.
They it's just knowing that they have control. Some people, they get off of that control. So you come home, and then you like you say, you in this space. You used to living in an 8,000 square foot home, and now you're in a space that's a 6x6 cell with another person that may not have the same hygiene as you.
And those are things. I mean, you're right.
Granted.
You got to consider those things. My God. All right. Well, we're going to come right back for our final break, and we're going to wrap things up when we come back from the live exchange.
You heard the hygiene.
Okay, So 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Live Exchange, and we're close to the end. I've got so many questions. Like, I want to know, like, how does your menstrual cycle as a woman in prison? I mean, there's got to be so many things that you've got to totally readjust and change your mindset about in order to survive, in that environment. But I don't want to end the show without being able to get any, final nuggets of, knowledge, wisdom, that you may have pulled from that experience. That you just want the world to know.
One thing that I would say is most of us are in a prison in our life. Mm-hmm. I may have been in a physical prison, but a lot of us are in a mental prison. Wow. We're working a job that we don't like, or we're in a business and we're doing something for the money because we're afraid to pursue our purpose or our passion. We're in a relationship where we're being tolerated and not celebrated. So one thing that I learned is that life is short. Life is entirely too short for the someday, for the next day. Mm-hmm. And so I think prison was the best thing in the world that happened to me because I grew up sort of sheltered. So it had me to experience all women, all walks of life, wow. Made me more relatable, more down to earth. And it had me to understand that you and you alone are responsible for your happiness. It's not a man's responsibility, not your husband's responsibility, your kid's responsibility. It is yours. Wow. If your life is not how you want it, then you got to do something about it. And you cannot allow your past to hold you hostage. You cannot be ashamed about what you've done, bad decisions. I hear so many women that are like, oh, when I was 40, I should have done this and I should have done that, and they have all this regret. Grieve the life that you no longer have. Grieve the relationship that you no longer have. That husband that has left you, that's walked off, that cheated on you, whatever. Honey, he is celebrating with his new wife. Right. Grieve it and let it go. Yes. Move on and figure out what it is that you want in your life. Surround yourself around people that can help you get that, and go do it. It's up to you. If you're not happy, it's on you. And it doesn't matter what you've done. Don't allow anybody to define you. Define yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
And to have spent so much time with, like you said, all different types of women really gives you a lot of credibility in your work with women.
Yes.
Because you've seen a lot, when it comes to different experiences of women. And what about you, Carlo?
I always just say don't judge, because one day you could be judged.
Oh, gosh.
And,
so true. Every person I judge, I find myself in there.
Right.
Something,
comes right back.
God put it on me, like, I dare you to judge them because you're going to experience it.
And it can come back worse
when
the stones have been thrown at you. I always tell people, just motivate yourself and just never be afraid to try. Because the only thing can happen is it not happen, but you will never know unless you go forward. Because when I got out, my mom didn't want me doing this car business thing, and if I had to listen to my mom, I wouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah.
I would have backed away. But now, it took me going forward, not letting her decisions make me, to now she's believes in everything I do. So sometimes the people around you, it could be family, it could be friends. Sometimes you have to get away from certain people that's not for you and the things that you are trying to do to see if it could really happen.
Right, because people are well-meaning. They don't always mean to down your dreams.
My mom was just looking out for my best interest. Yeah, she just didn't want me to fail.
Right.
And at the time it hurt because I'm thinking, it's my mom. Why you tell? And I was upset about it. But then now, looking back over it, she just didn't want me to go through same things that she went through.
Yeah.
And and sometimes there's friends around you that don't want you to fail, and it can seem like it's hate. But sometimes you might have to distance yourself from certain people.
Yeah, and sometimes people project their own fears onto you. So they're afraid to make this jump or make this move. And so, you don't want to do that, so we probably should move away from always thinking everybody's trying to hate on us.
Right.
But move to our own, place where we can really process and think about, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Right. So we're coming to the tail end. How can people reach you? And we'll post this on as well.
Well, on Facebook, my name is Carlo Wilkes, and on Instagram, my name is RPMATL1.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
And one thing I just want to say about fear, you have to just redefine the way you think about fear and reframe it as face everything and rise. Because whenever you're doing something new, you're going to have fear, but you got to just step into it anyway.
Yes.
And even if it doesn't work out like you want it to, or it looks like a failure, you learn something. So, guys, you can find me at TReneeSmith.com, TReneeSmith.com. On all social media, I'm at Coach T Renee, Coach T Renee. And my new book will be coming out, and you can get a copy at Amazon. It's called Metamorphosis, How I Shed the Life That Others Wanted for Me and Learned to Live My Authentic Life.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in to the live exchange. Now, this is again where we exchange compelling dialogue around love, politics, and intellect. Join us next Thursday from 11 to 1 right here on the Sensation Station, where I'll be joined by Mr. Robert Pierce and the Crushes, Emmanuel Glaze, to discuss men and daddy issues and Denzel Washington's latest Fences. They talk about a lot of those issues in that movie. So you don't want to miss this one. I'm Dr. Pamela, and remember, it's your life. Love it.
Well, you'll see what happens. Sensation Station Network.